Good morning and welcome back. It's not exactly right after, but we are picking up exactly where we left off in the first half of this class, where we have this cute little monitor stand with a decorative accent piece supporting it below. And I think this looks very much like a modernized skateboard, which would look great on your desk. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this concept and we're going to make a totally different kind of stand. As I said in the first half, we have a subscriber who has requested designing a couple of monitor stands so that we can see how to model them. And I'm always happy to oblige, so we're going to close that one and we're going to start again. I have another one here set up in Imperial, and we will start by creating the top. We'll start by modeling on the front. We started modeling the other one on the top. And in this case, what we are going to do is we will give ourselves some constraints. We'll create a center point rectangle, hit D for dimension, and this is going to be 41 inches long. Scroll out, and it is going to be 8 inches deep, which is slightly different dimensions from the other one. I'm just going to show you that these things can change quite a bit and it still be much the same object. Now, this is just a guiding rectangle, so I'll double click on it and hit X so that it doesn't interfere with our pattern, but still gives us some lines to worry about. I'm going to draw 2 center lines for mirroring, 1 center line, 2 center lines. And I will select one and the other and hit X again, so they are just guides. We're modeling here on the front, and I am going to model the top piece. The top piece is going to go all the way from the center to the outside. I'm also going to make a single leg. I'm only going to make one because we're going to do some joinery and then duplicate the joinery. But because I want these to be special dovetails, they're going to be proud. So I will click on dimension and I will say that these are going to be 1/8 inch proud. So between the outside edge and the outside boundary is going to be 1/8 of an inch. And I will do the same thing for the outside edges in the other direction. I'll click on this to duplicate the dimension so I don't have to change it twice if I do want to change it. I'm going to hit equals. No. I'm going to actually make these to be different sizes, I think. No, we'll make them the same. We will make the support pieces and the top the same size on this one. And they are now equal. So let's give that a dimension between one side and the other. We are going to make these exactly 1 3/8 inches thick. And that is our front view. We're going to think about coming back here and adding a support piece at the end, but you don't have to do that up front. You can do that at the end if you want to. So we will say finish sketch, and we're going to go out here and we're going to make these multiple components. They're going to overlap, and then we'll cut some dovetails into them. So I will hit extrude. I will pick the pieces of this top, and I am going to make this exactly 8 inches back by typing 8 inches. Actually, we're going to make this symmetric and have it 4 inches in both directions so we can keep the middle line in the same place. We'll say new component and hit OK. Now, I think we've made a little bit of a mistake and I want to go back and fix it before we go on. We'll name this to be feet, and we'll go back and edit our sketch because we don't want this monitor stand to be 8 inches tall. We want it to be 8 inches deep. We want it to be 5.5 inches tall. So we'll change that dimension. But you see, everything else has moved around with it. And now when we come back out, we can see that it is 5.5 inches deep. I'm going to open the sketches and turn the sketch back on so I can go to extrude. I'm going to turn the feet off so that we can go to extrude and pick all the pieces out here. And if we look, we now have all these pieces. We will say new component. We will say from the profile pane, we want to go from the outside edge of our foot, distance to object, to the inside edge of our foot, and we will say OK. Now we can turn our sketch off, and you can see that we have two pieces that are intersecting each other and going right on through. Now, I think that's pretty good. So what I want to do is I want to draw out our proud dovetails. So I will say New Sketch on the top face here. I'm going to hit P for Project and just pick the inside edge of this board, just like scribing it on a board. I'll hit OK, and I will turn the feet off. I'm going to rename this to be Top, so I know where we are. And we're going to draw a center dividing line. We don't want it to actually divide, so we'll click on it and hit X to turn it into a guideline. And then I am going to say I want this to be a dovetail. We're going to have quite a few dovetails here. I will say mirror this line across the center. Whoops. Across, mirror line, center, and hit OK. Now we have one tail. We're going to make those to be very narrow tails. I will go over here and say create a rectangular pattern. I will pick the two lines of our tail, and I'm going to drag them down. We're going to say spacing, and we are going to tell it that we want it to go symmetrically, and that we want 7 dovetails. Oops. If you get out of the pattern, you can always go over to your little cube and change them. What I want is I want 7 tails, and I hit OK. Now, if I go off here and I drag these to be closer, it looks like we can change those quite significantly. But I can always edit this pattern. I can change my rectangular pattern and change my distance between to actually be 5/8 of an inch, and we'll see how that looks. And those are now quite tight. But you can change this as many times as you want. I will change this to be 1 1/8. And hit OK. And that gives us pretty much the pattern we are looking for. We're going to change the dimension between the outside edge and the outside of our pin and make it 1/4 inch. We're going to change the dimension between them by dragging them around a little bit. Oops. By dragging them around a little bit. And we need to change this inside dimension here. And we will make that also 3/8 of an inch. And that will give us some nice tails. We could move them around slightly by changing the spacing, but that will give us, I think, a beautiful little pattern. I just changed it a few times to show you how you would change it, because changing dovetails is probably something you're going to want to do quite a bit. Just double click on that rectangular pattern. Now we're finished our sketch, and we will hit OK. Now I want those tails to be kept, and I want to cut the pins out. So I will hit extrude. I will pick each of the pins, making sure we get the right waist components here. And I am going to go down to the bottom, change this to object, and pick the bottom face. Hit OK, and it will cut all of my dovetails. Imagine if you could do that with your saw quite as fast as that. Now, I want those to be duplicated across to the other side as well. So we're going to use a little modeling trick. We're going to go in here to our sketch. We'll edit our sketch. And you see this middle line that we have here. We'll click on it and turn it back on and hit Finish Sketch. Now if I go to the extrude, where we extruded the face here, I will say Edit Feature. Did I not select the whole thing? I didn't select the whole line. Did I? I think I did. Yes. Okay, we will pick the extrude where we picked this sketch. I will say Edit Feature, and I will turn off the right-hand side. Now we have half. If I say Mirror, and I click on this body, and I pick as the mirror pane the center line with Join, now I have mirrored the thing across to the other side. If I turn on the feet and I click this combine, I will combine the foot with the top. Make sure it says cut and turn keep tools on so we don't lose the top, and hit OK. I have now cut the top through this middle piece. So if I turn the top off, I can see we have holes going right through. Now those holes don't go all the way through like our proud dovetails should because the board actually overlaps a little bit. So if I click on this extrude tool and I pick the inside edges of each of the holes for my tails and I extrude those up to the end of our board and I make sure it cuts, I can now cut the outside piece and we have our pin board. If I turn the top back on, we now have 1/8 inch proud dovetails going right through all of our pieces here. If I click on this mirror and I click on the foot, I select my mirror pane as the center of our object. Sometimes you can't actually select it, so you have to turn something off so you can get there. It's OK, hit OK, and now we have 2 feet. I think that's pretty good, but what I want to do with that is I want to create a little support block on the inside. Now let's take a look at our sketch one more time. Where is our support block actually going to go? Well, it's actually going to recess right into the whole thing. So let's create a center point rectangle. It's going to be somewhere in the middle here, and it's going to go over inside both of these pieces. So let's tell it how much inside it will be. We'll create a dimension from the outside edge of our support to the outside edge of our top, and we're going to say that it is going to be inset exactly 1/2 inch. We're going to do the same thing from the inside edge of our foot, and we'll pick the same dimension. OK. And how thick is our support going to be? Our support is going to be 1 1/8 inches. And we will say Finish Sketch. If we turn that sketch back on, we can turn off the other pieces, select all the parts of our sketch that are going, oh, right, we have to hit Extrude, select all the parts of our sketch, just make sure you pick all the pieces of the section that we want. We're going to change this to be symmetric, and we're going to make this exactly 1/2 inch to make a 1 inch thick bar. We'll say New Component, and we have now done that. I'll change this name to be Support, and I will turn back on the other 2 components and turn off the sketch. So you can now see we have that support, and the only thing we don't have with it is we don't have it actually put into our groove. We need to cut a groove for it. So let's cut it. We will cut the top with the support. We will click on the background and hit Repeat, and click each leg and cut those with our support piece. If I turn the support on the top off, you can see we've now cut a little groove for the support piece right there. And if we turn off the feet and the support, we can see we have cut a groove right down our top to house that. And there we have it. As I said in the last video connection here we had, our last live stream, this viewer was going to model it in ash, but I think this one would look better in walnut. So I'm just going to change this to be walnut and take a look at it. And I think we could use some of their ash and use it for our support piece to make that more decorative on the bottom. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. I think we have a nice, sort of modernized, but quite traditional looking proud dovetail monitor stand. I think that's pretty good. What I would do is I would chamfer each of those edges, but I'm not going to model the chamfer because I wouldn't chamfer it so that you can see them be chamfered. I would just chamfer them so that they don't feel so sharp against your fingers. I would just call it breaking the edges rather than really doing a full chamfer. But there you go. That is a cute little other monitor stand, and I think that makes for a great accent piece for your desk. If you were going to do this and it was going to be a larger or smaller computer, you could make it deeper or narrower. You could have a thicker brace if you were actually going to put a bunch of heavy things like recording gear up there, or you could make it taller or shorter. But with the parametric modeling, you can always make those changes. I'll just show you one more time how to make those changes. We could go into our sketch model, hit edit, and I could change this 5.5 inches here, for example, to be 4 inches. And we would have a shorter stand, but everything, including all our proud dovetails and our support piece, would remain in the same position and everything would move around it because we have set all those things in our sketches and mirrored them, so we only have to change them once. Okay, so that is the second half of our lesson today on modeling a monitor stand. I hope you have enjoyed. If you liked what we were doing today, please click the like button. If you didn't, you can click dislike, but I ask you, if you do that, please leave a comment down below to tell us what it is that we can do to make it better for you. If you want to see more of these live and live-to-tape classes, click on the subscribe button and the bell so you are notified. And if you know anybody else who might like to learn about modeling in Fusion 360, share it on your social media and send over the link to any forums you might happen to be on for woodworkers and those who are learning the craft. Okay, so we'll give you one more look at the bottom, spin you around so you can see this piece, and finish up for the day with our 2 different monitor stands. Okay, have a great day in the shop, and let us take a look at what you're building by sharing it with us. Hopefully you will be able to get on there and share with us what you have managed to do with these models. If you build a monitor stand or you build something else with proud dovetails using this technique, I would love to see what you come up with. And if you have any questions, please post them in the comments below, and I will see if I can make you a video just like this one for one of our subscribers who is looking for this kind of work. Have a great day. Bye-bye.